Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to review our 1987 Ferrari Testarossa.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and this is my dealership, NG Supercars, and this absolutely stunning piece of Ferrari history is available for sale through our dealership. So if you're interested in making an offer, send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com, or you can see more information about it on our website, ngsupercars.com. But this thing is absolutely insane. It's awesome. The Carfax says it's only one owner, but we have two different owners' names on the paperwork for all the history that we have. So we're going to say it's two owner, even though they might be the same family or whatever. We don't want to say it's one owner because it looks more like it's probably two owners at least. The problem is a lot of these older cars that go back, way back, there might not be any data for Carfax to determine whether or not this has more than one owner or two owners. But anyway, it says one owner. We're going to say it's two owners. It only has 15,200 and something miles on it, and it is extremely original. The paint is all original, no paint work. It's absolutely an amazing condition. Very few imperfections, some small stuff that probably could be taken out with a light paint correction, but we didn't want to touch it because it's a 1987 Ferrari. We just don't want to touch it. The tires are aftermarket, so those are not original either, but you don't want to be driving on the original tires. These are actually much better. The radio has been replaced with a, I'm going to call it modern radio, but it's still pretty ancient. And it has a Novolari exhaust, so that's not original either. But basically, almost everything else on this car is original. And it's up to date on service, so you can actually drive this thing. So you don't have to worry about doing any sort of engine out for at least about 5 years or so. But basically, this thing's probably been sitting in someone's garage collecting dust and not being driven. So we've gotten it and we've put about 200 miles on it, and it drives absolutely awesome. In fact, the AC works for a Testarossa. It works as a Testarossa AC works, which is basically like someone putting an ice cube in their mouth and blowing gently on you. The heater works really, really well. If you put the heater on, holy crap, you're sweating. So everything pretty much works as far as we're aware. I believe there's only one known issue, which is the button for the glove box does not release the glove box, so that does not work. But we had to replace some few minor things to get them working correctly. So let me show you around this car, and then we'll take it out for a drive, because good Lord, driving these cars is absolutely awesome. Oh yes, I love the look of the Testarossas. The cheese grater is so nice. Walking around the exterior, basically, like I said, almost no significant flaws. I mean, there's a little chip or something right there in the paint. I'm sure there's like little things. There's some dirt on it because it's been driven a few times since the last time we washed it. I took it to a car show because let me tell you, taking a 1987 Testarossa to a car show is kind of like the queen of the show. You know, everyone wants to see it, and everyone talks about how they had posters of it and everything. I don't think a single flaw in the glass. I don't even think there's paint chips yet, or paint chips, rock chips. There's like pretty much it's perfect. This little gasket here is saggy on both sides, so that could be replaced if you want it to be a little bit nicer. Everything over here, yeah, looks fantastic. The side view mirrors even work. The electric side view mirrors are still functioning correctly. There's some micro scratches in that area that could be buffed out. So again, if you bought this car and did a light paint correction, that would be some minor stuff to take care of. All of this back here is looking good. That's just dirt. See, just dirt. What else is going on? Hold on, I'm getting a call. All right, you know how it is. We always get interruptions and phone calls and stuff. But yeah, basically no significant flaws really anywhere on the exterior. Certainly nothing that can't be fixed with minor paint stuff. Still got the spare tire. It does not have the toolkit, unfortunately. So if we pop this open, I'm just gonna pull the latch for both of these. By the way, we had to replace that latch. That latch had been broken. And also, you can see some wear on the bolster. We're going to get that taken care of. So our leather guy is supposed to take care of that. We hope to have that done soon. But anyway, here you go. Ooh, lift this heavy piece up. And yes, nice clean trunk. Still got the spare underneath. There we go. There you go. Yep, there's the spare. I'm sure that rubber is real good. Right? That one licked. Yes, these Testarossas have these latches that you really gotta kind of like give them a good bump. And yeah, so we had to replace the latch that does this. It was all sticky and stuff, and it wasn't working correctly, so we lubricated that. But there you go. The engine is in phenomenal shape. Looks like mostly, I don't know if it's probably all original paint on the valve covers and stuff. It doesn't look like it's flaky. I mean, there's a tiny bit of, flake off right there and stuff, but easy touch-ups. The story behind this is the car sat for 7 years. So the last time it was driven was 7 years ago. So the fuel system totally was destroyed. They had to redo the fuel distribution block on the injection. They had to replace all the injectors. They had to replace the fuel tank, a lot of the fuel lines and stuff. So spent over $20,000 on this car this year alone. So as a part of that fuel service, they pulled the engine down, they dropped it out, inspected all the time belts and tensioners and everything. Those were all in good shape, so they didn't have to do those. They did pull the heads off, and I don't know exactly, like they cleaned out the cylinders or something. I guess there was bad fuel in the cylinders, or I don't know what. Anyway, so they had the heads off on this thing, so it's got new head gaskets and all those gaskets and stuff. All that stuff had to get replaced in order to pull the heads. So yeah, basically it had an indirect major is what I guess you could call it. But yeah, and prior to that, it basically had a major done and then was shoved in storage for 7 years. So fairly interesting that that's how it ended up here. But yeah, let's take this thing out for a drive, because man, these things are so good. They're so awesome. All right, YouTube, we're gonna do a POV review. I've got a thing clipped to my hat, so hopefully this will be a decent viewpoint. Getting in this thing always sucks. Okay, here we go. All right. Got the mouse trap. You pull up, push button, then release, parking brake. Okay. Just gotta point out a few rad things from the 80s. We got this. Oh yeah. We're gonna turn that off, but era appropriate radar detector, era appropriate Sony. Now again, it's an old Ferrari, so it has the old Ferrari isms. It's not a perfect car, but it's as they should be from the 80s. So transmissions in these Testarossas are a little bit of a pain in the ass until they get warmed up. They don't really like being shifted slowly. It's strange. You actually want to shift it really fast at first. So if you shift it a little slow, it'll like bind up and it won't really go into gear. So until it gets warmed up, you kind of almost like throw it into gear. Oh, and of course, got the air horn. Yes, air horn. I love the air horn. Oh, look at this thing. It's just awesome. Driving this thing's so much fun. It holds super good oil pressure, oil temp, coolant temp, everything. It actually does really well. It's 15,239 miles on it right now. Of course, no power steering. And even though Jeremy Clarkson would probably say something like the brakes are made of wood, they actually work pretty decent. They're not awful. They're not great. I mean, they're not modern cars. Some interesting harmonics from the engine harmonics, the exhaust, the gearbox. It all has strange noises. One thing that's cool is it has this transmission whine that's actually pretty neat, and it actually has a bit of like, I don't know if it's the belts or the, something about it has a little bit of a whine to it too, but it sounds so cool. The sound of that. It's a little bit chilly. I'm gonna roll up the windows, which, all right, so the windows roll up pretty slow. That's pretty typical. Driver's side window wins the race compared to the passenger side window. Sounds, the way that this thing feels. I mean, you know, it's, again, it doesn't have as much body roll as that thing, but you know, it's not super planted compared to modern cars around corners. There's definitely some body roll, but it's okay. It actually handles pretty decently, and because there's no power steering, you have tons of feedback in the steering wheel. So you actually feel the road a lot. It is not modern car fast at all. Okay, we're gonna go this way. Heel toe. I mean, the pedals aren't awful. They're not great. The pedal box is very small, by the way. So if you have very wide feet, you might have to wear racing shoes or barefoot. First time I drove one of these, I was wearing like kind of like Merrills and stuff, and they're very wide. You know, couldn't even drive it because it would touch the brake and the gas at the same time. Oh, that sound. The sound of this flat 12. Oh yeah, you know, ignore the stupid hood light. It comes and goes. When it bounces around, it triggers the sensor. Again, that's typical old Ferrari stuff. So the sensor works, the contact is probably just a little bit loose. Traffic on this road. It used to be like dead. All right, well, let's do an acceleration run. Here you go. Like if you just kind of cruise, it's actually kind of comfortable and pleasant. We'll roll down the windows again now that we've kind of experienced it with the windows up. Do a little driving with the windows down. So yes, the Testarossa, like the infamous 355, it does have major out services every 5-ish years where you're supposed to replace the timing belts and tensioners. And unfortunately, that means, you know, because it's a rear engine or mid-engine as it were, and the engine faces the firewall, you can't get to the timing belts, so you have to drop the engine. Now, it takes about a day to pull the engine out of this car. I'm sure people can do it faster, but that's about what it takes. And so you take a day to pull it out, you have another day or so doing it on timing belts and other services, maybe even 2, depending if you're replacing a bunch of gaskets and other shit. And then you gotta get another day or 2 to put it back in. So it's basically a full week of work to do this thing. So the parts actually aren't catastrophically expensive. Like, I'm talking $3,000, $4,000 for the parts on the high end. You know, you might be able to get them for $2,000 or less. It just kind of depends how many parts and what all you're doing. But the labor, you're talking 40 plus hours of labor. Most places are charging $200 to $300 an hour, so you know, $8,000 to $12,000, $15,000 just in labor. and that's why these things end up costing so much money to maintain. But there's of course other things that go wrong with these cars. I mean, they have known issues, but that's the nice thing is they've been around forever. A lot of people do the maintenance themselves on it, so there's a lot of data out there of like, hey, here's how you maintain these things. Hey, this guy's actually hustling. All right. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that flat 12 sounds so good. Heel toe very well, but that's okay. I'm getting a phone call. I'll have to answer it later. And like I said, the handling, pretty reasonable. Get it shifter. Okay. So satisfying. Anyway, if one of you again is interested in this car, send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com. This is definitely a collector's worthy car. It is very, very original, low miles, in damn good shape. It's not perfect, but it's running very well. You know, it is an old car, but it's doing great, and it could be in perfect shape with very little effort. I don't care if someone wants to buy it and drive it and actually experience one of these, or buy it and throw it in a collection. It would make, you know, either way it would be great, because it's already all set to actually drive. But if you wanted to just have it be a collector's car, well, you know, you can do that too, and this car would do that. So I'm pretty sure if you buy this thing, you're probably gonna end up having it be worth more in the future. Well, there you have it, YouTube. Absolutely glorious Ferrari Testarossa, 1987. So it's got the single knockoffs. We don't have the Mono Speciale. That's the 86, I believe, and 85s. I need to plug it back into the battery tender, because you know how these cars are. They want to be plugged in. But it's for sale, so check out ngsupercars.com. There you can find some information about it. If you want to send us an email, sales@ngsupercars.com. And of course, if you'd like to buy any parts or services, check out normalguysupercar.com. But we do appreciate your guys' support that's kept this whole thing going. So thank you so much to all of you that have supported us for all these years. We truly, truly do appreciate it. All right, guys, we got lots of cool car stuff coming your way. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.